So I've been talking with Martin here, and we're both a little flummoxed. We're a little flabbergasted, even jabberwockied, if you will, over one little game by the name of Super Mario Odyssey. Now, for those of you not familiar, Super Mario Odyssey released on October 27th of 2017, and very quickly was named one of the best games of the franchise and also of the year, getting nominated for Game of the Year somehow, and receiving 10 out of 10 reviews from Edge, EGM, 9.7 out of 10 from Game Informer, Metacritic, it's sitting at 97 out of 100. It's gotten rave reviews and is apparently one of the best games to release in recent memory. So naturally, I decided I needed to try it. So I did. I purchased the game, and after licking the cartridge, I plugged it into my Switch and began playing. And very quickly I realized it was fun, but being somebody who does not have any major nostalgic attachment to the franchise, it wasn't that remarkable. It was a fun platformer, but I kept waiting for the big reveal where all of a sudden it made sense to me and I would understand why this game was ranked as one of the best of the year. I had previously played games like Breath of the Wild, Horizon Zero Dawn, games that released this year that were remarkable and certainly were contenders for Game of the Year, but Super Mario Odyssey just wasn't quite there. So I kept waiting for that big switch where everything would make sense. Now, if you're not familiar with how the structure of the game works, basically you're running around collecting power moons by solving puzzles, defeating bosses, and exploring the worlds that you're in. And then once you've collected enough power moons to move on to the next world, you go to the next world and the process repeats. All new puzzles, few new mechanics, different enemies, things like that. You use your hat to capture and sort of possess different creatures, which add all different mechanics and ways of interacting with the world around you. It's actually pretty cool. And so I kept playing, and to be honest, I had a good time. After about 7 hours, I could see the end was very near, and I kept saying to myself out loud most often, is this really the end? Are we really wrapping up the story already? Everyone was saying this game took about 20-25 hours to complete, but I was at 7 hours nearing what at least appeared to be the end. And so I kept playing, had a good time with it, and then I moved on, defeated Bowser, and I thought I had finished the game in half the time that everyone else had. I thought I had done something severely wrong. However, it very quickly became clear to me that the game was not all it appeared to be. After completing that main quest where you defeat Bowser, when you had this sense of urgency telling you you needed to defeat the boss, the main boss that you were chasing after, now everyone was saying in the game, oh, well, no, it's okay. There's still lots of power moons to find and to capture and places to explore, and you might even find some hidden places and hidden worlds if you discover more power moons. So keep looking. And I was just like, it was a little bit startling to me because I wasn't ready for that. I thought the game was going to end when the campaign ended, and that was going to be that. Maybe I would go through another playthrough and have a good time, discover some new puzzles. But no, it was just resetting itself. They had this sense of urgency because they felt like they needed to have some story element to give you a reason to go exploring in the first half of the game. And then the second half of the game is just go, do stuff, which a lot of people will really like. And I understand why you might really like that. It's a big sandbox Mario game where you can go to any of the worlds that you've already discovered and just find stuff, solve puzzles, get power moons, and talk to little characters, find stuff. It's an interesting idea, but for me, it was frustrating because the game seems to have a bit of an identity issue. Like, really, are we going to be a platforming, slightly narrative-driven Mario game, or are we going to go through and have just a sandbox where you can just explore stuff? There's a way that they could have designed this game where, from the very beginning, it was a sandbox. You go, you explore, you find stuff, and maybe you aren't guided and your hand isn't held as much in the first half, and you actually have to solve puzzles to figure out where Bowser is taking Peach next. That would be very interesting. That would give me reason to explore all of these worlds very, very carefully, instead of having to go through the game once and then seemingly being asked to do it all over again, albeit with different puzzles, but still go through all these places I already discovered again with different puzzles now. I think that could have worked better. It's really confusing to me. The game itself, I know it's so painfully simple, but that's part of it, is I expected so much more. This is a good game. I've had a good time with it. I've enjoyed my time with it, but I would not give it a 10 out of 10. I would not give it a 9 out of 10. I would not nominate it for Game of the Year because frankly, it's not up there with something like Breath of the Wild that also came out from Nintendo. It's good. I had a great time, but it's simply not amazing. I honestly don't understand how people can say it is. I know I'm going to tick off a lot of people by saying this because it's Mario and you aren't allowed to criticize Mario, but really, it's a good game. I just think that when all of these review aggregators and reviewers give games like this one from Nintendo a 10 out of 10 instead of the 8 out of 10 that it actually deserves, they give it perfect scores because they grew up playing these games and they have some sort of nostalgic attachment to it that automatically awards an extra 2 points to whatever they were going to give it. And it's kind of like The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Then I don't know when a Nintendo game is actually amazing and when it's actually just good. Chances are you're not going to find a Mario game that's bad. You're not going to find a Zelda game that's bad. But reviews for these games almost mean nothing because so many people have this nostalgic bend to them and bias where all of it just goes out the window and it's just bleh. I suppose the point of this video is just to say I honestly don't understand why everyone is putting so much praise on this little guy right here. It's a fun game, but it's not amazing at all. I actually find it painfully average and borderline disappointing. There are some secret worlds that you can discover when you go through. There's even a boss rush mode if you discover enough power moons. And then when you go back and after you've completed the game, you can go through paintings in the kingdom world, and then you can jump through the paintings and fight harder versions of the bosses you've already fought. That's cool. That's interesting. I like that. But the design of the game just seems to be all over the place. Were they trying to be an open world kind of sandbox puzzle game, or were they trying to have a narrative at the same time? It just, I just don't like the way it was designed, I suppose. It's a good game. I had a good time with it. I just think the way they designed this was unnecessarily convoluted, complicated, and just, yeah. But with all that said, that's pretty much all I got to say. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts on all this. If you've played Super Mario Odyssey, let me know your thoughts. I haven't seen anyone else complain about the structuring and the style and the actual way that this game was assembled. I haven't even heard it talked about by any other reviewer. They don't say anything negative about it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts if you think the same things or if you disagree with me. I'd love to hear that. I just want to know what you think to know if I'm going crazy. But other than that, thank you for watching. We got some cool stuff coming out in the start of the new year. Just look out for that. The channel will also be going through a slight rebranding, so keep an eye out for the update videos on that as well. But with all that said, thank you for watching. I love you all. Peace out. Blah, 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 blah.